If you thought hip-hop reunions were done, expired, folded, and thrown into the clearance bin next to Ja Rule's career comeback coupons, think again. Because out of absolutely nowhere, 50 Cent just pulled off the most unexpected, earth-shaking reunion since Destiny's Child stepped out of the shadows at Coachella. This man didn't just bring energy, he summoned history. He linked back up with Eminem, the lyrical nuclear missile, and Lloyd Banks, the quiet assassin who raps like he's allergic to smiling. And together they created a moment that had the whole internet screaming louder than DMX in his prime. But here's the twist. This wasn't just a reunion. This had DMX tribute energy dripping all over it. From the gritty vibes to the growl-heavy crowd chants that sounded straight out of a Rough Riders revival tour. And then 50 Cent previewed that mysterious project called South, sending fans into a frenzy like he just leaked a secret chapter of hip-hop's holy book. Social media is convinced something huge is coming: a tour, a movie, an album, or maybe all three at once, because this man never does anything small. And after this reunion, the culture might never recover. When 50 Cent stepped back into the spotlight with Eminem and Lloyd Banks, it didn't just feel like a reunion, it felt like the hip-hop Avengers assembled after taking a decade-long nap. This wasn't nostalgia. This was cultural whiplash. People were dropping their phones, their jobs, and their dignity trying to figure out how the three men who practically raised an entire generation with punchlines, threats, and bulletproof vests suddenly showed up together like time never passed. Hip-hop heads online were screaming like teenage fans at a K-pop concert, because this kind of reunion usually only happens when someone announces a farewell tour or a documentary with sad music. The energy shifted. The minute 50 posted the first clip, the comments section exploded with confusion, excitement, and conspiracy theories. Some fans were convinced the universe glitched, others said it felt like a classic mixtape cover had come to life. And then came the South preview, a mysterious title, a dark aesthetic, and a vibe that felt spiritual, gritty, and surprisingly emotional. The DMX influence was obvious. It wasn't subtle, it was loud enough to shake the algorithm. You could almost hear the growls in the background even when the audio was low. The internet quickly decided this wasn't a coincidence. The moment people saw the raw energy between the three, they started connecting dots that weren't even on the same page. Fans swore South was created as a tribute to DMX's legacy. They insisted the rhythm, the tone, the ruggedness, the pacing, all of it screamed Rough Riders influence. They posted videos claiming they felt DMX's spirit in the air, like he dropped in from the afterlife to supervise the beat, bark twice, and leave. And honestly, with 50 and X's history, nobody doubted it. But the real shock came when Eminem walked in with that familiar quiet intensity, the kind that says, "I didn't come here to talk. I came to burn the building down with lyrics." He didn't say much, but his presence alone sent fans into meltdown mode. People were rewinding the clip repeatedly, swearing he looked like he was ready to drop a verse that would make grown adults question their careers. After years of being tucked away in Detroit like a dormant dragon, M appearing alongside 50 felt like a timed explosion. Meanwhile, Lloyd Banks showed up looking like the world's calmest threat. He's got that energy where he doesn't need to speak because his entire aura says, "I'll trap your favorite rapper while half asleep." Fans were calling it the rebirth of the original G-Unit aura, the version that terrified the industry and dominated summers. Twitter turned into a digital stadium within minutes, but the chaos didn't stop there. Rumors started spreading that this reunion wasn't planned, that it happened because of a massive leak behind the scenes involving the South Project. Some sources claimed a snippet got out too early, forcing 50 to reveal his cards sooner than expected. Others insisted he did it because the energy felt right and hip-hop needed a shockwave. But the truth didn't even matter. Fans ran with every theory like they were collecting Infinity Stones. As clips spread across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, people began dissecting every frame like it was a national security briefing. They zoomed in on outfits, background lights, facial expressions, everything. Some thought 50's smile meant he had a tour coming. Others studied Eminem's posture like it was a coded message. Even Banks' silence was turned into a 3-minute conspiracy breakdown by fans who sincerely believed he was hiding something monumental. Then came the wildest twist. The DMX comparisons exploded into a full-blown narrative. People pointed out how the South preview had that rebellious, dark, street gospel feel that DMX was famous for. They said it reminded them of Slippin', Rough Riders' anthem, and Who We Be, all wrapped into one new energy. The crowd chants felt eerily similar to the energy X brought everywhere he went. The emotion, the grit, the authenticity, it felt like a tribute disguised as a new era. Some fans even claimed they saw a blurred DMX mural in the background of one clip, which wasn't true, but it didn't matter once the rumor existed. People ran marathons with it. They wanted to believe this was a salute to the fallen legend, and honestly, the vibes matched the theory too perfectly. Even if it wasn't intentional, the internet declared it canon. Hip-hop pages began posting flashback clips from the early 2000s G-Unit on stage, Eminem tearing up award shows, DMX controlling crowds like a preacher during a spiritual revival. They paired these with screenshots from the new reunion, making fans emotional for no reason. Even younger audiences who weren't alive during peak G-Unit were suddenly talking like they'd been in the trenches with them. Meanwhile, certain blogs started fanning the flames, asking whether South was secretly a soundtrack for a TV show or movie. Some believed 50 was expanding the Power universe again, maybe launching a Southern-themed spin-off with grimy energy and a soundtrack curated by legends. Others said it felt like a documentary, raw, intense, maybe honoring DMX's influence on Southern and East Coast culture. The speculation was spinning faster than Eminem's multi-syllable bars. When the reunion hit the mainstream blogs, celebrities chimed in. Rappers from the 2000s era were in shock, dropping fire emojis like they were throwing confetti. New age rappers were either confused or emotional. One artist said seeing Eminem and 50 together was like watching two Marvel superheroes link up after retiring. Another joke that Lloyd Banks popping out was the equivalent of spotting a rare Pokémon in the wild. Memes hit immediately. One showed 50, Eminem, and Banks as WWE fighters tagging back in after years on the bench. Another compared the reunion to the Power Rangers coming together at the exact moment the universe needed saving. Even people who weren't fans were dragged into the excitement. Because the internet has no boundaries when nostalgia is activated. Then came the twist nobody expected. Fans started blaming the rest of the industry for letting hip-hop get too soft, claiming this reunion was a wake-up call. They said 50, and Banks brought back a sound the culture desperately needed, and the DMX vibes made it even stronger. Suddenly everyone acted like hip-hop had been starving. And these three just delivered a full-course meal seasoned with threats, beef, and classic energy. TikTok creators made edits comparing modern rap to early 2000s rap, and the comments sections were brutal. People were saying things like, "This is real music. This is what we grew up on," and "Bring back the aggression." It became a nostalgia war zone. Every platform turned into a debate floor where fans defended or attacked certain eras of rap like they were lawyers in a messy celebrity trial. At the center of everything was 50 Cent, the unbothered ringmaster. He posted another teaser, fueling speculation even more. He wrote something vague but powerful, the type of line that means absolutely nothing and everything at the same time. Fans interpreted it as confirmation of a reunion project. Others said it hinted at a massive announcement coming soon. And some delusional fans swore it meant he and Eminem were dropping a joint album. Even though they've said multiple times they don't record together often, Eminem's name started trending worldwide. People were begging him to drop a verse. Longtime fans who haven't listened to rap in years emerged like retired soldiers being called back to duty. They posted comments like, "If Eminem raps like he did in 2002, the world isn't ready," and honestly, they might be right. The energy surrounding Lloyd Banks was just as wild. His fans started barking louder than DMX fans. They said this reunion proved he deserved more credit, more spotlight, more everything. They demanded new music, a tour, and a Banks redemption arc. It was chaos wrapped in nostalgia and sprinkled with emotion. The memes got even darker and funnier. One had DMX in heaven looking down like, "Y'all better do this right." Another showed old G-Unit fans stretching like they were preparing for war. Someone edited a clip of Eminem walking with dramatic music and captioned it, "When you hear 50 and Banks are assembling the team again." At this point, the rumor mill had evolved into its own ecosystem. Some said South stood for something meaningful, maybe an acronym, maybe a city, maybe even a direction representing a new artistic journey. Others said it meant the project was inspired by the southern states, their culture, their grit. The theories spiraled out of control, and fans were loving every second. Then came the celebrity reactions from unexpected places. Actors, comedians, influencers, everyone commented. One comedian posted, "This reunion got grown men acting like they just saw Santa at the mall." Another joked, "My uncle came out of retirement to argue about G-Unit again." The internet was vibrating with energy, and just when it felt like the hype was dying down, another clip dropped a snippet showing more behind-the-scenes moments with the three together. Fans immediately froze, stared, and screamed into their screens like they had just discovered buried treasure. The reunion wasn't just entertainment, it was healing. A cultural reset, a digital earthquake, a reminder that legends don't fade. They simply wait for the right moment to remind the world who built the foundation. And this moment, it was only the beginning. The aftermath of 50 Cent's reunion with Eminem and Lloyd Banks hit the internet with the force of a cultural earthquake. People weren't just excited, they were spiritually activated. It felt like hip-hop itself woke up from a long nap, stretched, cracked its knuckles, and said, "All right, let's remind these kids what domination looks like." This wasn't nostalgia anymore. It was a full-blown revival. A return to the era where lyrics cut deeper than beef, beats shook your chest, and rappers looked like they were actually ready to fight for a crown instead of arguing over streaming numbers. The moment the reunion clip dropped, older fans stepped out like veterans being called back into service. They came online with stories, memories, and emotional essays about the glory days of mixtapes, G-Unit chains, and Eminem ripping through beats with fury. Younger audiences watched in shock, realizing their algorithm-fed playlists never prepared them for this kind of raw chaos. It wasn't polished. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't filter-friendly. It was aggressive, unapologetic, and powerful, and people felt it in their bones. Meanwhile, the rumor storm around South grew even louder. Some fans claimed the project symbolized a shift in 50's creative direction. Others said it marked the beginning of a new era in rap where legends were reclaiming the spotlight. Theories multiplied at the speed of a viral tweet. People wondered if South was a movie, a soundtrack, a documentary, a tour, or a secret collaboration between 50, Eminem, and Banks. Every possibility felt believable because the energy behind the reunion was too intense to be a casual hangout. Bloggers typed articles like they were trying to meet a life or death deadline. Hip-hop journalists dropped think pieces analyzing how the reunion might reshape the culture. Some said it could inspire the return of lyrical rap dominance. Others said it would encourage more collaborations between legends who haven't shared a stage in years. A few even argued that the industry became too gimmicky, and this reunion was the antidote. The commentary came from every direction, and each perspective added more weight to the hype. Celebrities reacted too. Rappers from the East Coast to the West Coast posted throwback pictures with 50, Eminem, or Banks. They wrote captions filled with nostalgia and excitement, some shading the current era unintentionally. One rapper wrote, "When these three step out, everyone pays attention." Another said, "This energy hasn't existed in years." Fans screenshotted everything and treated each caption like a prophetic message, adding fuel to a fire that was already blazing. The DMX connection grew stronger online. Fans insisted the energy felt too familiar to be accidental. They pointed out that DMX's presence always carried raw emotion, unfiltered pain, and unbreakable strength, and South radiated all three. People posted clips of X spraying before shows, barking during performances, and controlling crowds with spiritual intensity. They placed these moments side by side with the reunion clip, creating emotional edits that left viewers silent. It was unplanned, unconfirmed, but undeniably powerful. As the hype peaked, people began wondering what this meant for the industry's future. If 50 and Banks dropped new music, would the culture shift back to bar-heavy rap? If Eminem hopped on a track with them, would it break streaming records? Fans begged for a tour, a cypher, a documentary, anything that involved the three together again. Petition links popped up online with thousands of signatures. People were desperate for more. Streaming platforms saw spikes in old G-Unit albums and Eminem classics. It was like the entire world collectively revisited an era filled with bulletproof vests, gritty street anthems, and iconic punchlines. Playlists titled Early 2000 Seconds Energy, G-Unit Reloaded, and Eminem Rage Mode flooded the charts. Even fans who weren't alive during the era felt compelled to join the movement. The more people celebrated the reunion, the more they questioned why it hit so hard. Some said the industry lost authenticity. Others blamed watered-down trends and viral gimmicks. But regardless of the reason, the reunion reactivated a feeling people didn't know they missed. It reminded them of a time when rap wasn't just entertainment, it was a lifestyle, a war zone, a cultural revolution, and that's when things got even more dramatic. A new clip surfaced of 50 discussing South backstage with Eminem listening intensely. The audio wasn't clear, but Eminem nodded at something 50 said, and that alone triggered chaos. Fans claimed it confirmed a collaboration. Others said it proved Eminem's involvement in the project. Theories didn't just multiply, they mutated. Some people insisted that the DMX tribute energy wasn't accidental at all. They said the entire project was built on the spirit of authenticity that X embodied his entire life. The gritty visuals, the dark tones, the heavy drums, it all felt like a spiritual handshake between the past and present. Whether or not it was intentional didn't matter anymore. By now, the reunion had transformed from a simple link-up into a cultural moment with layers. It affected fans emotionally. It triggered the industry. It woke up dormant legends. It made new artists nervous. And it reminded everyone that when certain names come together, the entire rap landscape tilts. Even haters were forced to admit the impact. They tried complaining, but their comments drowned under a sea of excitement. The energy was too strong. The nostalgia was too powerful. And the timing felt too perfect. Hip-hop needed this. Fans needed this. And honestly, the culture had forgotten how good it feels when giants stand shoulder to shoulder again. The craziest part: nobody believes this is the end. This reunion wasn't a finale, it was an introduction. A spark before the explosion. A preview of something bigger brewing behind the scenes. And with 50's history of shocking announcements, people know better than to assume he's done. This story didn't close a chapter. It opened a new one, and the next page could break the internet all over again. If you made it through this entire roller coaster of energy, nostalgia, and pure hip-hop adrenaline, congratulations, your heart rate is probably still fighting for stability. What we just witnessed wasn't a reunion. It was a cultural awakening. A reminder that legends don't fade, they reload, regroup, and roll out stronger than ever. And trust me, this story isn't slowing down anytime soon. So before the next bombshell drops, because with these three, another explosion is practically guaranteed. Smash that like button like you're trying to revive the mixtape era. Drop a comment telling me how you felt seeing 50, Eminem, and Banks together again. Were you emotional? Screaming? Confused? Ready to fight somebody in honor of early 2000s rap? I want to hear every unhinged thought. Make sure you subscribe like your Wi-Fi depends on it. You already know chaos lands here faster than celebrity apologies after being exposed. The minute another reunion clip leaks, another beat drops, or another DMX-inspired moment erupts, we're diving straight into it with more drama, more sarcasm, and more intensity than anyone else dares to bring. Stay locked in. Stay ready, because the next chapter of this saga, it might just break the culture again, and you don't want to miss the explosion.